Hi, team. Welcome to the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Coming up, crafting changes, including one that is over 9,000. But first, a couple bits of SWTOR news, and a shout out to our guild Alea Yacta Est on Jedi Covenant. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 128, who got picked to go out in the Escape Pod this week because he didn't let the Wookiee win. With me, as always, is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Hey Max, going pretty well. I've been poking around in my inventory trying to get it sort of semi-organized and cleaned up to get ready for crafting changes in 4.1, meaning that I'm trying to get all my, grade 8 stuff together and think about whether I want to save it. Well, we'll talk about all that later, but yeah, save mats or buy mats or make stuff or save stuff or buy stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's what I've been doing. How are things with you?
Good. I've got a new microphone here. We were talking about in the chat room. We'll talk about it a little bit more after maybe, but hope that's sounding good for the recording. I guess we'll find out tomorrow when this gets produced.
Sounds good right now.
And you can be the judge of that. But
I thank you.
good week in Star Wars as well. Little hard mode ops, little PvP stuff. Did get to visit Harbinger and the Unholy Alliance 3rd anniversary party this week with the Stardust Legacy. If you follow
Nice.
Mandy on Twitter, they had their 3rd anniversary party and it was pretty fun. So I transferred a character over there because I didn't have a character high enough to get to Ilum, where they did a little event. They had a little pod race on Ilum, so I had to actually get a character there that could travel. But it was fun. It was fun hanging out with those guys and seeing them. And this past week we had our 4th anniversary event. We were about a month late in scheduling ours, but that was fun too. Maybe we can talk about that in the community news. But we do have a little bit of actual news this week.
Now an Imperial News Network report.
So this week, or this previous week, we had a live stream. It's called their story live stream. That was on the 28th last week. Charles Boyd, who's lead writer, and Alexander Freed, who's another writer, were on the show. And I thought it was really interesting. Alexander Freed is one who basically wrote Scorpio in the original class storyline, and he wrote Kaleo in the storyline that's coming up, starting with Chapter 10. So he was a good person to have on there. It was really interesting to me to listen to those two guys talk back and forth about different companions and what it's like to write for a game. And I mean, I came to this live stream with very sort of empty expectations. I didn't really know what to expect. I wasn't expecting any news or anything necessarily, but it was just really interesting to me to hear them talk about these characters and how three-dimensional they are for them, and how sometimes I just rush through the game because I just want to get to the part where I get my reward, and I'm like thinking, oh, maybe I should be paying more attention to the story. And I would see all these little details too, so I liked it.
I think you came into it with a really appropriate expectation. If you were actually watching it live like I was and looking at the chat in the sidebar, they were going crazy, and they went crazy afterwards in the follow-up post saying, why were there no announcements about ops later this year? It was a story live. I mean, they build it as a story live stream. They told you they would be talking about stories with a couple writers, and that's exactly what they did. So to have like all these people chiming in and saying, we want more PvP war zones. Tell us about PvP war zones. There's no what? I was saying this earlier. It's like tuning into the Electronic Arts earnings call and not hearing about no new pets in Star Wars and rage quitting.
I guess I don't know why someone would expect there to be any news like that from a. I mean, I didn't know what to expect from a story live stream because I knew they couldn't tell the story, right? But I thought it was really interesting. I'm glad they're planning to do more of them.
So they are intending to do 2 a month. And one should have updates and news and that kind of thing. And then the story one is writers and that kind of thing. So I would I think for the people that are looking for the updates and news, rightly so, that we really want that kind of thing. That's the first one each month, whatever, from two weeks from now. The
So
this
SWTOR FCOM is saying that he would have liked a little bit more meat on chapter 10.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, really? You wanted to know more about what was in chapter 10?
Yeah, see, that's double-edged sword. I don't know how much they could do. Say, it is. I mean, there's a little bit of a point there. These are a
Yeah.
little bit difficult to to deal with because they can't really give away the spoilers. They can't, so they can only talk about stuff that's come so far. In which case, it's very interesting if you're into writing and hearing about that from the writers, but it's not going to be what people are chomping at the bit to hear about.
I would thought it was really interesting the point they made about when you're writing for a game that it's a completely different activity than writing for, say, a movie, because like they made the point of, imagine if episode 4 had been written completely and totally from the point of view of Luke. What a different movie that would be.
Right. Good
And
point.
basically a game it's all from your point of view, what you can see, or pretty much all of it.
Right. We also had news this week about Cartel Packs. For the people that do buy Cartel Packs or get Cartel Packs off the GTN, which that's the only way I've gotten Cartel Packs, they're making some changes. They're getting rid of bronze items in Cartel Packs going forward. And when you open a Cartel Pack, you're going to get a chance at 2 items. You should be getting, hopefully you're going to get a silver or gold item, and then most likely you're going to get the second item instead of like a bronze item. You're going to get what they're calling a chance cube. So you open a pack to get some random stuff. In the random stuff, you might get another item which has random stuff in it. So the stuff in the chance, so when you open the chance cube, then you can get, and what that is items from previous packs or the current pack. If it's from the current pack, it'll be silver and gold. If it's from previous packs, it could be silver, gold, or bronze. If it is an armor set, it will be a box with the complete armor set in it. Their intent is, in theory, to be able to focus more on silver and gold items, potentially have slightly more silver and gold items per new pack that comes out, although overall it will be less items overall because they're getting rid of the bronze. But a lot of people aren't all that happy because you're going to have more opportunity to be getting old stuff in a new pack rather than just more chances to get new stuff out of the new pack. So I can see both
So
ways on that.
when does this take effect? Like the current pack is the strategy alliance pack. Would that have a chance cube in it or no?
No, so I think it'll be the next pack that will be coming out after 4/1, which is another week and a half. So it's a change coming soon type of thing. So we'll see.
Hmm.
Does this make you want to
So
buy any
speaking of
packs?
gear, well, it does kind of. I just, off the GTN, I actually did look at them on the cartel market. They're on sale, or the super crate and the hyper crate right now is on sale, 5% and 10% off respectively.
Hmm.
But yeah,
That actually makes me think what I actually do want is a chance cube.
yeah, I'm thinking that too. I'm thinking, a whole outfit,
I,
possibly.
well, I just want the cube. I'm not even going to open it. I just want to have that
Uh,
hanging around as an item.
well, there you go.
There we go. That'll be fun.
Let's see. Also happening this week is BioWare did announce a change they're making to the starter armor, and this is the armor that you get if you do a level 60, boosted character. And they're making it bind on pickup, so just fair warning. And the reason is because a lot of people were re-rolling characters, getting the gear, re-rolling characters, getting the gear because they wanted the gear. And it's caused them some havoc on the server side, just all the traffic of character creation and deletion and the re-roll behavior in general. So they're cutting that off. The gear itself, though, is still available in game elsewhere between crafting and Alliance supply crates. So you can still get it for your characters. You're just not going to be able to get it by, rolling a 60 and then sending it off to an alt because it'll be bind on pickup.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed a lot of it, in theory, will be able to be crafted or can currently be crafted. I'm not exactly clear on that, and this might get into some of the things that are coming later. But if you look at the post of what they said, is it's currently crafted as grade 8 armor for the 5 sets that are craftable. But I'm thinking that stuff is actually, oh no, one of them says grade 9. Okay, so there you go. The one that says grade 9 will be one of the new sets that you can craft. So when we talk about what's being changed in crafting, there is one set that falls into that category. Okay. Also, we know that they will be having a redo of all of their major events. They implied that they would be doing that monthly, although they have not published updated dates for Rakul, for Bounty Contract, and for Gree, which should also be coming out in February. What we do know for sure is that February 11th is the official release of Chapter 10. And if you had subscribed by the 1st of February, then you get 2 days of early access, which means you get it on February 9th. And if you subscribe by the 1st, you also you're eligible for the bonus item, which for February is the HK55 themed jetpack. And you'll get that when you log in on the 9th. So don't be looking for it just yet. Don't be looking for it on Tuesday. We'll be able to look for it next week. In guild and community news, I wanted to give a shout out to Cleanari. You said it better than I did earlier, Seema.
I think I said Cleanyari.
Cleanyari. A new AIE member that joined up, who I was talking back and forth with for a while earlier in the week, who is from South America. So that was pretty cool. He said he might not be in Mumble all that much because he mostly speaks Portuguese, but I thought that would be awesome. I also wanted to give a shout out to our Wednesday ops team. Our Wednesday night ops team is run by Arvashette, and they do have one open spot. So if you want to get on an ops team on Wednesday nights from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central, or about that, I think that they might go from 7:30 to 10.
Yeah. It's about that time, yeah.
Oh, and look, he's in the chat room too. Hey. Then check in with Arv because they could use a healer, but they would take a DPS. So preferred healer, but they would take a DPS for that Wednesday op team, 7:30 to 10. Right. That would be cool.
Because if you're not a healer and you're DPS, they could shift some stuff around and still make it work.
Yep. And hello, Cleanyari in the chat room. That's awesome.
Oh, I didn't. Well, there you go.
There you go. 8 to 10:30 p.m. Central or Eastern, Arv? Central. So 8
Central.
to 10:30 p.m. Central. Excellent. I think our Monday night ops team which is on the Republic side, may have an opening or at least need subs on a regular basis. They will not be running next week because a couple of people are out of town, but they will be running the week after that. And then I think there's still a couple of openings as they're forming up a weekend ops team that you might want to jump in on and check out as well. I'm going to be subbing in on that weekend ops team when I can, but I think they're looking for some permanent members to get that kicked off. To anyone not yet in AIE, our guild is always looking for new members on Jedi Covenant. Our parent community, LAA Acta S, is one of those very large, family-friendly, multi-game groups. We have a solid guild in Star Wars The Old Republic on both the Republic and Imperial sides. It is a little lighter on the Republic side. I was in the Republic side this week, and there were some people in there saying we need to do more. So I think next week on Mandatory Fun Night, we'll do some Republic side, Republic Love, as we call it. You can find our guild information on aie-guild.org, and you can catch our officers in game with a /cjoin AIELFO, looking for officer, AIELFO. And shout out to the chat room. It is great to see some new people in there, new members, old members. I'll definitely be catching up with you guys after and as we just did before the show as well. But with that, we have some crafting changes.
I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
We did altered deal last week, I think, too. But this is a very, very altered deal. So we can do altered deal again. And not to bury the lead, let's kick it right off. Over 9,000. So stacks.
Over 9,000.
Stacks that
Incredible.
previously stacked to 99 will now stack to 9,999. I thought Seema was trolling me when she said, I seriously did. I could not believe that
Right.
they would have gone ahead and done the right thing to such a degree. And even to 999, but to go to over 9,000, I was ecstatic. So,
I mean, if they would have gone from 99 to 199, we would be ecstatic.
right.
But in typical Bioware fashion, they blew us away. Now, like the next week, they're gonna go, oh wait, this is causing us problems. We're gonna go down to like 22.
Right. Well, yeah. And I saw a note on Reddit, and even before I saw it, I made the comment to Seema, this really it's like a Y2K issue. This totally opens the book for a whole slew of bugs that we expect will be coming. Like, patch 4.1a now fixing the ability to sell stacks of 99 for the price of a 9,999 stack to vendors, et cetera, et cetera.
But that's true. Yeah, I mean, that does make me wonder. Like many vendors, you can buy things now as 99 at a time. That's probably going to stay the same, I'm guessing.
I think
It would be fun if you could buy 9,999, nerve splicers.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I wonder if you can, and that will be crazy. We're all also going to have to be really careful when we're dealing with the GTN for the next couple weeks because
Yeah, make sure you don't buy something, or sell something for the wrong
right. Yeah.
astronomical number of units.
Right. Don't accidentally sell the 4.9 stack for the price of a 2.9 stack, for one. For two, don't think you're buying a 4.9 stack of something at some good deal and have it only be like a 2 or 3.9 stack. We're just gonna have to wait till they go to 5.9s.
Or don't buy something at a really good unit price and find out that you bought 10,000 of them.
Right.
And now your cash is gone.
Yeah. You just spent 1 billion credits because the unit price looked pretty sweet, and you bought. Now you have 10,000 adaptive circuitry.
Right.
That's going to be crazy.
I look forward to this mayhem.
But I certainly also look forward to having one page in my legacy storage with all possible crafting mats. That's for all crafting mats for all disciplines, including all of the artifact crafting mats from the missions. You're going to be able to just pack them all into one page. It'll open up a whole bunch of space. That's awesome.
Yes, a lot of space.
I have obsolete materials,
Because you just love having them.
I do. I'm a hoarder, a digital hoarder. I'm not a physical hoarder in real life. I like to get rid of things, so I can have all my worldly
Buy more
possessions
things.
cleared out when I'm ready to walk the earth. But in my digital life, I like to collect things. I collect lucky coins. They're a gray item that you get off of corpses when you're like around level 20 or level 30. I don't think those stack to 99 though. I think those only stack to level 20. But so those might
maybe
not.
you should go check because maybe they do.
But I do. Actually, I could probably look even while we're talking. But I do have a bunch of those obsolete materials that they're not in my legacy storage. I hope that those stack, and I can still just keep all of those around. I'm gonna have to start giving them out as presents. Okay. Anyway, so that was incredibly awesome, and that is now in the running for my favorite update of the year. And it's going to be hard to knock that off of that perch. But there were some other changes coming. That we're going to need to sort of deal with. I don't know. Do you want to start going through a couple of these, and we can just start talking back and forth, Seema?
Sure. So I just to set the stage, basically what they're doing is they're introducing a new grade of crafting materials, which is grade 9. And then and to go along with that, we're going to scale up from our current skill cap of 500 to 550. And then all these changes that we're going to talk about are ways of filling in all the gaps and moving and shuffling things around so that it makes sense to have this grade 9, uh, basically. So even though they had this big long post and there's lots of details about it, that's the overall picture that you can just plug all this stuff into so it's not confusing. So when I first saw it, the post, what got my attention was, the new skill level, new skill cap, and then new crafting materials. Because for some reason, I don't know, maybe I'm a digital hoarder too. Like I know I am. I thought, oh, that's cool. And I was thinking of my other thing what I hoard is I have those little those spheres that you get from Conquest that have data nodes, gathering nodes inside them.
Oh, right.
I have a bunch of those that I haven't opened, and I
I
keep
know.
waiting for the day when they say, and now these are updated and they're going to contain new mats, and I'm like, oh yes, now I can open them.
I know you've been waiting, but you've
Uh,
been waiting for about 6 months on those things, haven't you?
at least,
At
yes.
least.
Well,
Yeah, because it's been 4 months
I,
since, or it's been 2 months since 4.0 dropped, and it was
right,
at least
but there's no risk,
6 months
right?
before
If
that.
I open them, I'm
Right,
just going to get something worthless. So,
right, exactly. Yeah,
so yeah, so to start off, there are going to be new gathering nodes, and they're going to be in the public areas of the Fallen Empire storyline. An example would be the Zakul Swamp, which is that area that's outside of the gravestone. And I'm thinking another area would be the what's it called? The old town that's underneath Zakul, where you go for a while. I mean that might have some like mining nodes in it and some herbalism nodes because like Coruscant has, and Coruscant is an Ecumenopolis,
right.
but they still have biochem nodes,
Well, there's the swamp
bioanalysis
on
nodes.
Zakul, so you'll have that
Yeah,
place to go explore, and then yeah, down in the tunnels,
they
maybe you can go
mentioned
down
that.
there and mess around, find some nodes. But you can have
But I think I think those places are going to be pretty picked over because they're not huge.
right. That's a key question. They are not huge, although Yavin's not that huge, and that's sort of
Oh, that's a good point.
gathering area number one right now. So
Right, but it's bigger than just the cool. No, actually, yeah, I can see that.
if you add up the Zakul, I mean the Zakul swamp covers multiple swamp areas, and add that to the underground tunnels, the tram network, then the above ground. It's
Hmm.
probably close to Yavin. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
And they're putting some things in to make the transition kind of as painless as possible. So between February 11th, when 4.1 drops, and whenever 4.2 drops, you'll be able to, turn your grade 8 mats in for grade 9 mats, and that's pretty much across the board.
Right.
So I've been thinking, do I want to buy grade 8 mats as an easy way to get grade 9 mats without having to farm them?
That's tricky. I didn't think of that. If you can find a cache or people just in the next week putting cheap grade 8 mats up on the GTN and then just be able
Yeah, and they
to
don't,
turn those in real
right?
quick.
They don't even have to be all that cheap, just cheaper than the amount of effort I want to put in to farm them. I mean, at some point, between 4.1 and 4.2, it doesn't matter, right? Because you can turn in your grade 8 mats, but after 4.2, you're going to need the grade 9 mats if you want to make the right augment kits and the right augments and everything
Right.
else. So that's what I was thinking.
Right, exactly. That's a good question. I guess okay, so that's another thing. Augment kits, for example. You'll be able to take all current MK8 augment slots will suddenly become MK9 slots. So you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Any MK8 kits that you have, you'll be able to take to a special vendor and turn them in. It sounds like one for one. They didn't confirm one for one, but it sounds like you'll be
Oh
able to
my
turn them
gosh,
in.
Yes, they better have meant 1-for-1.
Yeah, for MK9 kits. But this was strange. It's still gonna be 208 augments. Well, everything is still all the same levels except the weird 208 to 212 for the armor, but we'll get to that in a second. But it will take grade 9 materials to craft a post change.
Right.
So I would expect there's going to be a new slicing purple mat that's not going to be adaptive circuitry. Is that what you're getting out of that?
Well,
It's going to be
they
a
didn't
grade
actually
9
say that.
a grade 9 slicing thing. No, they didn't, but that's my expectation. So adaptive
And
circuitry.
the other thing they didn't say, they didn't spell out a grade 9 augmentation slot component. Like right now, you use the augmentation slot component MK8 to make kits,
Right.
and you get that from reverse engineering, basically the thing you make with green
But it's
mats.
they did say explicitly 208 augments will now require grade 9 materials to craft. So with that,
But everything else they spelled out and said this is going to be this is going to turn into that. But this one little piece of it they didn't mention at all. But yes, I'm assuming there will be an augmentation slot component MK9.
right. I expect so as well. So it'll be interesting to see if. So I guess for a little while you'll still be able to use augment slot component MK8s, make an MK8 kit, and then take that over to the vendor and turn it in for an MK9 kit. So you'll have a little bit of a grace period between 4.1 and 4.1A or 4.2 or whatever they're going to do, where you'll be able to
4.2 is what they said.
basically be protected from these changes and do what you want to do. So that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, and they have said that, the Java scrap vendors are going to have grade 9 materials, but they didn't say if there's going to be any changes to Conquest such that there's going to be like items that you can make with these grade 9 mats that would go towards Conquest, and I doubt that they're going to do that actually because they didn't do it with the grade 8 materials.
That is a good question. So are we still going to be doing grade 7 materials for Conquest?
I mean, this is why I'm
no,
a hoarder,
no grade
because
9?
I'm thinking
Yeah.
the next time I want to do Conquest, I'm going to wish I had these, grade 5, grade 6, grade 7,
Or
1 through
specifically
7
the grade
mats.
8 once they update it, and then you requires, one grade 9 and one grade 8 to make the armored
Yeah.
truck, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, right. Armored.
Armored
Yeah,
vehicles,
the
yeah,
tank.
here. Armored
Yes,
vehicles, which
right,
takes
armored
one
vehicles.
grade 7 metal and one grade 6 metal currently to make an armored vehicle.
Right.
Or one grade 6 compound and one grade 7 compound to make the starship weapons. So yeah, it's going to be a 9 and an 8, and you'll have gotten rid of all of your 8s. So I'm going to keep one stack of 9,999 of every grade 8 material, just so I have it.
Well, actually, I mean, I think that's one reason probably why they didn't do grade 8 into one of many reasons why they didn't do grade 8 into Conquest is because, yeah, how do you do that? Maybe what they're thinking is they want to redo Conquest so that it doesn't go across levels like that, just like they're trying to clean it up here in crafting where we don't have things going across grades.
Maybe. So
I don't know
by the
that.
end, remind me. I want to sort of speculate on the why of this. So we'll go through the rest of the what, but why they made this change, I have some thoughts on that. A little bit more on the what though. That's interesting. All of the stuff that you can currently craft, they're going to be adding more stuff to craft, but all the levels sort of stay the same for the most part. 216, 220, you'll be able to make all that stuff. You'll go to the trainer, you can make the non-moddable stuff, or you get the ops drops and you reverse engineer them. You're also going to be able to make some armorings and enhancements. There's new armor that you're going to be able to make. That's 200 and 208. And then everything that's currently 208 that you're making, that's sort of the 208 endgame gear that you can make from the trainers, is going to become 212. I guess that's so they can leave room for the 200 and 208 armor that they want to be able to make, which might be mostly cosmetic. I didn't really get why they were doing the 208 to 212 and changing that up.
We were talking in Mumble before I got together with you tonight, and I was talking with Corley and some other people from the guild. And right now, I mean, when we get down into like the individual crafting skills, like they say that, for instance, Armor Mech is going to be able to make 200 and 208 endurance armorings, and right now they can't make those armorings because those are the ones that come from wherever they come from, comms or whatever, that you can't reverse engineer the gear that would make those. So I think what they're trying to do is kind of maybe even out all that stuff where it's like you can reverse engineer and make these, but you can't do these. So they're just filling it in so every tier has one. So when they say we're going to make 200 and 208 armor now, it's to fill in those tiers.
Okay.
Although tier is probably not the right word, but fill in those tiers.
Well, my the pool of my tears as I cry myself to sleep trying to figure out all these changes, that's an appropriate term.
There you go.
So there'll be all this new armor, and so as we saw in where was it in when they said, oh, all of those sets that are coming that you're going to be now bind on pickup when you create a new level 60, the trooper armor in particular, if you look at that post in Dev Tracker, it says that will be able to be crafted with grade 9 materials and schematics. So I expect that's going to be one of those 200 to 208s that they add in. But that's the only one out of that list that was grade 9. But that'll be one of them that comes in that class of new rating 200 and 208 armor. So there's new schematics 200 and 208 for most of the crafting classes as you would expect. It's there for armor mech, synth weaving, arms tech. All of that seemed relatively uninteresting to me. So everything's going to go to MK9s with grade 9 materials, and then there's going to be some new schematics. Maybe there'll be something interesting to look at that you'll be able to create. The couple places where I saw some interesting stuff happening, one in particular was Artifice.
Right.
And do you do some artificing? So being able to create relics, does that sound interesting to anyone? It did to me.
Well, I mean, it's one of the things I did a lot of in Shadow of Revan. But I also transferred my artificer off the server when we were getting together for that extra life weekend thing we did. And I guess I could bring her back. I mean, 90 cartel coins. So I haven't done any artificing really since then. But yes, relics I would be interested in.
I think I just transferred my artificer to Harbinger so I could go to that party. I'm going to transfer him back. That's interesting.
I mean, really, I think it will help because that is the hardest thing for people to get a reasonable, reasonably ops ready for is they still come with, their 192, 190, 186 even relics because they're missing. There's a gap.
Now they did say when the note here that they do want to keep it so that the relics found in operations are still superior to crafted and mission. I don't know what they say mission relic. What's a mission relic?
Okay, but when I first read that, I thought, oh no, they're going to only do the click relics. But
right?
No, they went on to say that for that reason, the ops ones are going to be better because they're going to add an additional stat to them.
Right, they're going to make them.
So I'm hoping that
Right. Go ahead.
I'm hoping that Serendipitous Assault and Focus Retribution will be craftable.
Yes. If Serendipitous Assault and Focus Retribution are craftable, then this is cool and awesome. Then this is awesome. Because a 208, Serendipitous Assault and Focus Retribution would set up all my level 65s that I haven't finished gearing out yet. Because they all have 198 relics on them right now. If it's the click relics, fine.
Forget it.
I mean, I'll still take it over a 186 relic that I have on half of these guys, or 162 in some cases. But
I'm sorry, I do not have a button for click relics.
I never click them. I hate click relics, and they're So it's gonna put it in that category of fine, I guess it's a relic. I'll stick it in the slot, and maybe I'll try to
If I
remember
could
to
bind them
click
to
it,
my
but
adrenals or something,
it's not
maybe,
what I
but
want, right?
yeah.
Yeah, when I was able to, well, in WoW, when you could bind it to a key and bind it, you press one button and it would always click your clicky thing. Was it relic? I don't even know what I would be clicking on in WoW, but there's something that I was always click or do something, but I'd bind it to my one key or whatever. So whatever my main ability was, that.
I mean, just to be clear, we can, yeah, exactly. Well, I was saying if we could bind it to our adrenals so that the moment
That
you
too.
want the push, you could do your adrenal clicker. But anyway, they don't have the same
The oh
cooldown, but
crap
whatever.
button. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's right. The oh crap button. We called it something else, but
They're also making a little bit of other changes to some of the relics, like no, it's the adrenals. So that was the other place that things looked a little interesting in biochem. So they're making a new stem, which has the potential to be a little bit of a game changer, in that it's a new stem that has accuracy and crit on it. In which case you could have itemization challenges or the opportunity to take some of the accuracy off of your gear. So you're going to assume that you're always going to have this stem on you. Take some of the accuracy off your gear, take that gear mix and change it to alacrity crit, and then always have this stem on for one. That's one interesting opportunity. And then the second would be to be able to use, maybe like for healers, use a mastery stem, except for, maybe one fight in the middle of the fight where you need to do a little bit of DPS and be able to pop an accuracy stem.
mm.
To
I wonder how much accuracy, because, I mean, if you have 0 accuracy and this gives you 5% accuracy, does that really help?
Good question. So let's see, well, yes, 5% would be quite a bit. In fact, I wasn't thinking 5. I was, because you only need 10%.
Yeah, you're right. 5% would be a lot. Yeah,
Right.
but the same question, but restated with reasonable number.
Yeah, no, so you get 200 mastery right now off a mastery stem, the top level stem, the anodyne. So if you got 200 accuracy, that's equivalent basically only to one piece of gear out of the 6 or 7 that you need to cap your accuracy. So you're getting 1/6 of the accuracy that you would actually need to be capping. You're right, it's not that much. But so maybe it's still not great for healers or useful in that way, but it could change min-max itemization to be able to be taking accuracy off of your gear and assuming this stem, and that may be best in slot.
Even if you're still waiting for that last enhancement that you haven't gotten yet, this might boost you over.
It might. And then the other place they made a change was to some of the adrenals for tanks. So shield absorb adrenals have changed, and now instead of giving you shield absorb stat, they give you an actual shield that absorbs 20% of damage up to a large amount of damage. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Like they're still deciding on the number or something. They haven't rolled that D20 yet. Up to a large amount of damage for 15 seconds. So that gives you an actual shield. So the adrenal seems pretty useful for bursty fight situations for tanks. In which case, it might give BioWare then the opportunity or the impetus to allow themselves to design fights where there are more burst spikes like that, and tanks will be expected to be popping that adrenal. I don't know. And giving headaches to healers when tanks didn't bring their adrenals. So what else before we get into the why and what are the only other thing I saw, they have this long section in the post that talks all about the mission, the crew missions.
Trying to clean that up.
And mostly that's all it is basically they're just cleaning it up. What is a prosperous mission?
I think Prosperous was like sometimes a drop or something that you could get that was like between.
That's weird. I don't
It
remember
was like
anything ever.
between rich and wealthy or something.
I don't remember anything
Or
being a
maybe it was,
prosper, or maybe like they were like the little blue ones that you'd get leveling up, the blue
yeah, or
drops.
something, I think. Yeah.
Because that's weird. I never I couldn't think of anything that was prosperous, but I'm only focused on the the grade 8 uh, missions, and there's no prosperous at grade 8. The drops are all, the 500s are all wealthy, and then it's bountiful rich, or the two levels below that. Anyway, they're cleaning up a bunch of that. They basically said when because they expanded that list, so when you look at your available missions, you could see the whole list of everything that was possible. Then they, I guess once they took a look at that and saw what was listed there, it looked a little dumb to them to have all these missions that it was obvious that no one would ever bother to run. So they're going to clean some of that up and take out some of the redundant ones or the useless ones, and make sure that you get a good distribution of the right kinds of missions in each of the levels. Was there anything else interesting
Yeah.
that you saw in that?
Um, well, on the mission things, I think it's they said that I mean I like the communication around it, right? Because they're saying, here's our goal. We want to have like each grade have the same number of each type of mission. But when we parcel them all out, there's some holes. So we're not there yet, but we're going to be creating some missions to go in there. So I always like it when that seemed like a sort of a little bit of an attempt at demystifying, which I like.
Yeah. So they did. You're right. So more communication is never bad. I'm not going to fault them for that. I just didn't see a whole lot that was all that interesting in there. We will have to see how it all shakes out into. I have a big spreadsheet so I know exactly what comes out of what the possible outcomes are for every rich mission and wealthy mission,
Right.
and I'm gonna have to redo that, but that's okay. That's what I do. That's my metagame.
And I do have a comment about from the very beginning. They said, something about this new gear they're talking about will be the best craftable gear that does not require exotic crafting materials. But I assume it's gonna require some kind of version of the blue mat that's called exotic, whatever that blue mat is called.
Exotic
So
isotope
I thought that
stabilizer.
yeah, I mean, those are required in gear now, right?
But
But I don't think
yeah.
they're considered exotic.
So
That's just the name.
I would think that the 200, 208, and 212 will not require that, but the 216 and 220 will continue to require that.
Yeah, you're probably right. And maybe they do include that as an exotic mat, because I think they're talking about the strategic matrix thingy and the dark matter catalyst
Right. Which are
when they say
definitely
exotic.
exotics.
Yes.
Artifact level are like adaptive circuitry, and there'll be the grade 9 version of that. That will be
Right.
required for 212, where it's not currently required for 208 gear. You don't need a purple thing for the 208 gear you get off the trainer, then you can craft today. So but they said it just requires the artifact level mat, the purple mat, but not an exotic. So, okay. Now, why? Why now? Why this? Why are they doing this? So what's your summary, and any other sort of summary comments you have on all of this now, Seema?
I think that, I mean, I take it at face value. I think they looked at, like, for instance, the crew missions, and they looked at a new person coming into the game, and they said, why is this craftable at this level but not that level? Why does this crew skill have 3 missions here and this other one only has 2 missions? And why are the missions that do the same things different cost? And back in the day when they created them, I think they had a different philosophy because it was, more. It made sense, like they made a little story around it, like you're going to a farther away planet, so it costs more. But now they're looking at making it more consistent so that it's easier to keep track of, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going with that for my wow, because my why, they're thinking about how do you learn all this stuff when you don't know it, and how do you remember it once you've learned it, and why it doesn't have to like change radically with each new release. Anyway, that's my why. What's your why?
So I think that's a little bit. I think that's probably a rationalization for, and a good reason for doing this. I think though that they're doing this now. The why of they're doing this now part of it is because this was supposed to be in 4.0 and they didn't get it done. And
Oh, I definitely think that. Yeah.
So I guess that's the sort of what I was getting to. I think
I thought you meant why they're doing it at all.
and why they're doing it at all. I think part of it would have been, you know, you have a new expansion. You have, you know, everybody goes to level 65. Well, let's put some new crafting nodes out there. Let's go to 9, and maybe we'll clean up the crafting system a little bit along the way, and the mission system a little bit along the way. Blah 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 blah. The 208, the 200, 208, giving them a couple extra tiers in there to put, you know, maybe some cool cosmetic gear or add some other schematics and do some interesting things in crafting. That, you're right. I think that's a good opportunity as well. But this all seems like stuff that should have been, or probably would have been, or they probably meant to do at 4.0, and maybe they didn't get it done in time. And because
I think
I do not
think
see
it
a
was
reason to do it
definitely,
now.
yeah, I definitely think it was. I think they had a checkbox that said crafting goes to 550 and we get grade 9 for 4.0. But the person that they gave crafting to took a look at it and said, "Oh, I'm going to fix this and this and that and the other thing." And then he woke up and at one point was like, "Oh, I'm supposed to be done now."
Yeah. So Bob, we're shipping the product tomorrow. You got that crafting stuff? What?
Right, because it turned into a bigger job because of scope creep, because he decided to fix things along the way. He tried, and he was doing that simplification thing rather than just slapping another level on top.
Yeah. I was still surprised that I think they could have done the couple cool, interesting things in here, like the 208, like the 200 gear, new schematics, and
The missing relics.
right. Add the relics, do the changes. Oh, we didn't mention color crystals. Now they got out the dumpy color crystals, and they all are usable at level 1 now, and they're all the top level crystals.
Right.
There'll be new dyes. They could have done the useful things without bothering to do the whole, well, now we're going to have grade 9 mats and everything's going to go to 550, which did they even say that anything required 550 to even make? I think I kept seeing things in there like it still only requires 500 to make it. Well, why are you making a cap of 550 on the skills then?
I don't know.
So,
But I just think that it got away from them. They were going to do it for 4.0, and
yeah.
they started mixing in this simplifying too, and
So the only part of this that frustrates me a little bit is if the train left the station and crafting wasn't on board, maybe just scrap it at that point. Add the couple things in that are cool or interesting, or you do want to do to bolster the crafting system, and not worry about the whole grade 9 and grade 9 of all the missions and grade 9 materials, and now we have these vendors and we're going to turn things in, and
or at least tell us that
transition
550 is coming, because I felt like, okay, this is a considered decision they made, that 500 was good enough, and they aren't, and we're not going to see 550 until the next,
right.
X-Pack or whatever we're calling it these days. And then for it to come out suddenly in the middle makes me feel like, yeah, no, it wasn't a plan. This was the plan.
Right.
They just didn't, yeah.
So a couple interesting things. The why is a little bit weird, but I'll still look forward to those. And stacks over 9,000, clear win. if you look in the forums,
I also think,
if you look on Reddit, universal support crafting for stacks over 9,000 being awesome. So there's that.
I mean, this is a lot of work just to make things line up better. So I'm hoping that it also provides them a simplified back end so they can support it better, they can make changes to it more easily, and all that stuff.
Maybe. Yep.
I'm hoping.
Right.
You can't say maybe to me when I say I'm hoping.
No, you can hope. I'm thinking that that maybe it
Thank
will,
you.
maybe it won't. Because I mean, it's still inflation. It's not like they invented some clever system where 5 patches from now they're not gonna be at at MK14s, which is not an
But
elegant solution.
we don't know what kind of bugs the existing crafting was generating and what they were trying to knock down. So maybe at some point they said, look, we need to overhaul this system because we can't fix this unless, like you said, Y2K thing, we can't fix this without putting this on top of that, and then but that's going to be under there, and so they decided, well, let's just remodularize it all so that we can support it better.
Maybe, or maybe they just said, let's go to 9.
But yes, I agree. Increasing the stack size is good.
Yeah,
I'm flabbergasted that it's 9,999.
4 nines. I can't wait. That's the best of everything. Okay, I think with that, our EPC 128 droid is ready to head out. Thanks to everyone for joining us on newoverlords.com, iTunes, YouTube, or here live on Twitch. We will stream again next Monday night on twitch.tv/newoverlords around 10:30 p.m. Central. Please follow us on Twitter at MaxTheGray and at AIESEMA. Follow us on YouTube. Catch us on our threads on Reddit and everywhere else, including coming and finding us on Jedi Covenant and asking us for an AIE Guild invite. We would be happy to have you. And we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.